Now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. I've been informed that Wipari has agreed that there won't be motions. There's something that the acting chief whip will move for the order paper.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The Wipari has agreed to amend the order paper to include as the first item for the oration of condolences on the passing of the former leader of the DA in the NCOP and former chief whip of the DA in the National Assembly, Mr. Arniston Wati Watson. Thank you. I so move.
I don't think there will be any problem because it's something that is beyond our control. Not unless there is a view that is contrary to what has been moved. If it's agreed, then it means we are going to start with the oration of a former member, a former chief whip of the DA, the late Honorable Watson. Honorable Van Lingen is going to be the first one to take the podium to take us through. Yeah, you can come forward.
Honourable Chairperson, members present here today, the Democratic Alliance is deeply saddened by the passing of Arniston Wati Watson. Wati, as we all knew him, and as described by many, was a mensch. He cared for his fellow countrymen and women. He strived throughout his long and colourful political career to improve the lives of the people of Mpumalanga. Honourable Chairperson, you will agree with me that Mpumalanga belonged to him, it was his province, and that you merely came from there. He also cared deeply for the people of South Africa. His political career spanned over many decades where he served on many local and district councils. Wati was the leader of the DA in the National Council of Provinces, and in 2011 he was appointed the chief whip of the party in the National Assembly, where he served until his retirement in May 2014. He was one of the longest serving and most experienced parliamentarians and will be remembered for his robust political dissertation. He was committed to bring justice and progress in South Africa. He believed and lived delivery, diversity, reconciliation, and redress. Here in the NCOP, the chairpersons had to be wide awake on procedures and rules of the House. Wati was a man of principle and expected all those around him to live up to high moral standards. He did not take kindly to mediocrity or suffered no fools. In Wati's book, right was right, no matter who you were. Wati always promoted the NCOP as the other House of Parliament and the role of the House where all three spheres of government met. Many of the members of Parliament who have graduated from the NCOP to the NA, they've got the upper house the wrong way around, will agree that Wati played a major role in the history of the NCOP and that his legacy of commitment, justice, and dedication will be treasured for many years. We were privileged to have known Wati and to have worked with him. Although we shared a birthday, I was often amazed by the differences of personality traits we have. It's the 26th of November. Giving an interesting dimension to our friendship, Wati often had too good a heart for the dirty game of politics, but, to quote Shakespeare, our fault, dear Brutus, lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. He honestly treasured his family, and very often We used the family to get to his heart before he could attack. And perhaps I must explain. Whenever there was a very difficult issue that we had to raise with Wati, where he could have said, no, you can't do that. We first started with his wife, Madeleine. And when she was well and we didn't quite have the courage to continue, we settled for his beautiful grandchildren and inquired after their well-being and progress. And then eventually when the heart softened, we also had enough courage to carry on and ask the difficult question or get the permission we needed. Today, our sincere condolences to Madeleine, his children, their children, and grandchildren, whom he loved so dearly. We thank his family for sharing Wati with us for so many years. Our prayers are with them, and we hope that their many good memories of Wati will bring sunshine in this very sad time of mourning. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, colleagues. On behalf of the leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, members of Parliament of the IFP and support staff, we send our deepest condolences to our colleagues in the DA and to the family and friends of Mr. Wati Watson, who passed away in the early hours of Sunday morning. Whilst I personally did not have the opportunity to serve with Mr. Watson here, I am reliably informed that Mr. Watson was a dedicated politician, a man of integrity, stay true, and with a sound moral compass. He led the Democratic Alliance as Chief Whip in both this chamber as well as later on in the National Assembly. He had the IFP's utmost respect as he was a member of this parliament who would always contribute in a positive way to the work of Parliament, and who was not afraid of speaking his mind or of participating in robust debates. We are deeply saddened at his sudden passing, particularly as he was beginning to enjoy his retirement from politics after a lifetime of service to the people of South Africa. We are saying to the DA family and to Mr. Watson, his family and his friends, Hamba kahle, Baba Watson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nzimande.
I thank you, House Chairperson. I rise on behalf of the African National Congress to honor and pay respect to the man we worked with from, as I met him from 2009 and served with him personally in the cluster of cooperative governance. Indeed, I concur with what the leader of the DA in this chamber said, Honorable Chairperson, that what he kept all of us, myself as his whip, at times I would call a delegate from Mpumalanga to come and help me to curtail Wati. We respected him for his contribution in helping us to comply, in helping us to stick to the procedures, in strengthening our democracy. We are deeply saddened for this sudden loss. I met Wati on the staircase last week at 120 Plain Street. We greeted and hugged, and he was strong. I couldn't believe when I heard the news late Sunday evening that he is no more. As the African National Congress, we are saying that his contribution is honored, and recognizing that he's passing away during the month of one of our heroes, Oliver Tambo. We hope that wherever he's going, he will meet Oliver Tambo and he will induct him to the African National Congress. And
the debate will continue there. But we will keep the lights burning. We will strengthen the democracy. We are committed to make sure what it stood for, the spirit of us loving our own country as he did, that we will continue doing that and serve our people with utmost honesty and respect that they deserve. We are saddened and we send our condolences to the family and his party, the DA, and the South Africans that had an opportunity to be served and be helped by Wati. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Indeed, honorable members, his contribution will forever be a record and demonstration of his love for his party and the people of this country. We send our sincere and heartfelt condolences. It will be in order to conclude it by all rising and observing a moment of silence. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you. Honorable members, we now come to the motion on the order paper as printed in the name of the acting chief whip. Honorable Stock.
Thank you, House Chair. I move that the following members be designated to represent Parliament in the Southern Africa Development Community, the Parliament Forum in terms of Article 7, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the said forum. Number 1, Ms. B. Mbete, who is the Speaker of the National Assembly. Number 2, Ms. S.A. Masango from the ANC. Number 3, Dr. H.E. Mateme, who is the Chief Whip of the NCOP. Number 4, Ms. M.R. Murutwa, who is from the ANC. Ms. S. Mokhalapa from the DA. Mr. A.M. Shaik from the NFP, of whom Ms. Murutwa will represent Parliament in the Women's Forum. I so move.
As there is no speakers list, I shall now put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. As the decision is dealt with in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution, I shall first ascertain whether all delegation heads are present in the chamber to cast their province's votes. Are all delegation heads present? In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow province an opportunity to make their declaration of vote if they so wish. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. I shall do this in alphabetical order per province. Heads of delegation will press in favor or against or abstain button. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape in favor.
Thank you. Free State.
Free State in favor.
Gauteng. KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal yabasekela amagama sihlalo.
Limpopo. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga agrees, Chair.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape agrees, Chair.
Northwest. We come to Western Cape.
We agree.
8 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mateus.
I need your guidance on this because I don't know how to bring this up. But EFF has never been approached or been asked to be part of any of these delegations. So how do I bring this to the attention of the House? Because we are a party here too.
No, no problem. You can take your seat.
Oh, okay.
It's an issue that can be taken at WIPARI level. Once it's here, it means it has been processed formally at that level. Before we proceed with questions, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the Minister and Deputy Ministers from the Governance Cluster. We will now proceed with the questions as printed on the question paper. The Minister or Deputy Minister shall take the questions. I will call now the Deputy Minister. Bapela, Honorable Bapela.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The response or the reply on the question, the Municipality in the province of KwaZulu-Natal has informed us that there has been no formal complaint about corruption, fraud, and maladministration regarding the agreement between Maritzburg United Football Club and the Msunduzi local municipality. Maritzburg United Football Club was considering to relocate to Nelson Mandela Bay Metro to ply their trade there. The Msunduzi Council, having considered the social and economic impact of the relocation by Maritzburg United FC, decided to support the team in order to stop them from relocating. The full council took a resolution to support the team by also creating facilities to promote sport within the municipality. The municipality entered into agreement to ensure the team remains within the Msunduzi local municipality. On the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, the province of the Eastern Cape and the municipality has informed us that the total relocation cost for Chippa United FC from Cape Town to Nelson Mandela Bay Metro is 12 million rand per annum for the next 3 years, totaling 36 million rands. The decision of securing a PSL team for the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium dates back as far as 2012. The process was initiated by the Directorate for Economic Development and Recreational Services. A special mayoral committee held on the 25th June 2014 resolved that Chippa United FC relocate to the municipality. The relocation agreement between the Chippa United FC and the Metro was signed on the 8th of July 2014. The Metro is of the view that the economic and social benefits for relocating the team outweighs the annual investment the city will pay over the next 3 years. And the second response to the question, House Chairperson, that the matter has been referred to the MECs of the provinces to investigate further about the contribution of the councils of the two municipalities. The details of the agreement and all supporting documents are still to be evaluated by the two provinces. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Chetty. Follow-up question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Deputy Minister. The Auditor General's report has been critical of municipalities engaging in consultants at exorbitant fees and a cost of service delivery, yet still failing to achieve the aspirations of unqualified audits. Having identified this at the Back to Basics summits at Gallagher Estates, what punitive measures has the Minister put in place to ensure that this frivolous and wasteful expenditure does not recur? If not, why not? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. We are mindful, obviously, of the AG's reports, and indeed the Back to Basics is now an intervention mechanism that is going to ensure that municipalities do comply and then work within their own means. But however, let's then begin to look at this as an investment also, because municipalities are there also to invest and then to create local economic opportunities and to create jobs, and then to also to market and promote their own cities at the same time. So based on the agreements, one can already begin to see a situation where the transport industry, the taxi industry benefiting as they bring funds into the stadium, the hospitality industry, both the hotels, the bread and breakfast, and then also the food, and then small traders, all benefiting as a result of these games that are playing at home. Because once a week, the team is active, and then for the season of the soccer in both particular cities. And also the maintenance of the stadium from gate takings, advertising, is also lessening a burden on municipalities from also using their own. Just imagine a situation which might arise when the Cape Ministerials can then relocate to Johannesburg. Obviously, the city and the Western Cape province will double their offer to ensure that they remain here, because that is a landmark in the activity that is taking place. And therefore, I think cities from time to time today, yes, we must make sure, therefore, that the cities do not overexpend, but at the same time ensure, therefore, that they do not also go into risk investments that might not give them returns. But on these two activities, I think it was an investment worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up question? Honorable Van Lingen?
Chairperson, I thought I heard the Minister now saying that it was a worthwhile investment. So can we have an in-principle decision here from the Minister where he would say that the expenditure on sports clubs, how does he classify it? Is it local economic development? Is it job creation? We need some clarity on the matter, please.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. Very soon, the city of Cape Town will be announcing a tenant that is going to be taking space at the Cape Town Stadium. We'll be watching that space as to who is this new tenant. We'll be bringing activities to the city so that then the city can now begin to also lessen the burden of its maintenance costs that are there and accruing in that particular direction. So they just announced yesterday in the newspapers that the new tenant is going to be announced. So we don't know who the tenant is, but indeed that tenant will be bringing an investment in the city, and then it will be also marketing and promoting the city, because cities do promote tourism. Because for every people who come into the city for a particular sport event or an activity, there is likelihood that out of 10, 3 of them may come back with their families to come and enjoy their holidays in the city because of such an exposure. So indeed, it is an economic activity, and then cities must then begin also to leverage on ensuring that there is economic activities and opportunities, so that then they can attract jobs and also investment and grow their revenue base as cities. And I think we do encourage the local economic development in all the cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Trimbi, then will be the last one, Honorable Nzimande. Honorable Trimbi.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Minister, I think you answered me a little bit. I remember when I was the member of MMC for City of Cape Town, even before we start to build up the stadium, the question was that are we not going to have those stadiums as white elephants? Now, I was going to ask a question, how do you attract those clubs to join? Because it was the problem even in the city of Cape Town to attract those clubs to come and invest in the city of Cape Town, more especially in the stadium, which was prepared for 2010. My question was that how do you make sure, because since then, even 2011, when I left the city of Cape Town, it was a problem. We tried to talk to the rugby clubs, to talk to those clubs to come and have an MOU with the city of Cape Town or take over the city of Cape Town. How do you put an invite, or how do you do to this thing? Thank you very much. It's a problem. I'm telling you, it was a problem. Thank you, sir.
Honorable TM.
No, thank you very much for Honorable Klimbi. I think the cities do bid from time to time, and particularly for the Bafana Games, I mean, they recently when the city of Cape Town hosted, they had to bid for it, and then they paid a substantial amount of it for the game to come here, because they do leverage out of the games and activities that takes place with a lot of hospitality industry, as I said, shops, and then people coming into the Cape Town, and also with a view that once they are exposed and marketing the city, they'll be in a position to to then come back again for tourism activities, because cities are also attracting tourists, to come into that environment. So they do bid, and whatever is the best bid, obviously, on offer, and then those who are bidding for them then will then take a decision in terms of the cost and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nzimande.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I would like just a final comment from the Deputy Minister, House Chair, in terms of the investment, infrastructure investment, facility upgrades, social cohesion, that these investment that the municipalities are making in bringing the, in making sure that the clubs stay within the boundaries of that municipality. I'm saying, Civil Chair, having seen now that Pietermaritzburg is now having 2 airlines, SA Express and SA Link, and more flights flying in between Johannesburg and Pietermaritzburg. There's even a full campaign on membership development for the team to make sure that there is a broader support, fan, and also the development, the inclusion of youth, trying to woo the youth away from drugs and indeed, House Chair, in terms of entertainment. I think I'm just requesting a final comment from the Deputy Minister with regards to those factors. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nzimande. I think those are some of the economic benefits and spin-offs that you accrue in an investment. And I must say, 2 weeks ago, I was at Pietermaritzburg, Msunduzi local municipality, for the presidential imbizo. And then I was taken around. The city is even now being upgraded because of the interest of the people that have come for games, who are now beginning to say, where are the museums? They've just built a new museum, which was in demand by the people who had come to say, want to know more about your history, and the people that come from Pietermaritzburg. The museum is now operational. There's new pavements that have been put up in the city, new street lights. So the city is now becoming alive once more as a result of some of these investments that are there, and also attracting more, both on the business side and also on the tourism side of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TM. And we now move to question number 115, Honorable Deputy Minister of Culture.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The department has not yet taken any steps against the senior management of the Mbofana, Ngagamudiri, Mulema, and Ingwata municipalities as a result of the interventions in terms of Section 139, bracket 1, bracket C of the Constitution. According to the legislation governing the appointment of senior managers in local government, if a senior manager is alleged to be incompetent or that his or her performance is substandard, it is the municipality council who may institute disciplinary proceedings against the senior manager, which may culminate in a dismissal depending on the seriousness of the alleged misconduct. However, with respect of the appointment of the senior managers in Gwanda, local municipality, the MEC responsible for local government in the province has invoked a declaratory order to nullify the appointments of those senior managers who do not meet the minimum relevant skills, expertise, competencies as prescribed for the post. This court order is now pending implementation by the municipality, and this will be monitored accordingly. Administrators have been recently appointed in all 3 municipalities to ensure continued functioning until new councils are elected and to uncover the extent of this dysfunctionality and its causes. In respect to the other 2 municipalities, and in case of any other malpractice uncovered by senior management in Ingwata, the administrators will have to investigate any allegations of misconduct or maladministration against senior management employed in these municipalities, and then submit their findings to the relevant MECs. As the interventions progress, evidence will be brought forward as to the extent to the alleged malpractices, and in this juncture, the administrators will make recommendations in their progressive reports to the MECs for local government in terms of proposed sanctions and the consequences. In terms of the national oversight, appropriate disciplinary measures and other steps may be agreed with the Provincial Department of Local Government in accordance with the Municipal Systems Act provisions and the amendments therein. Further action will be instigated if found necessary in terms of the back to basics pledge to act vigorously against any misconduct, maladministration or incompetence by the senior management of a municipality. There will be serious consequences for any proven cases of corruption, fraud and maladministration. Action will be taken in this regard, including using options such as asset forfeiture and allowance of civil claims. Under back to basics, there will also be far greater scrutiny over supply chain management, fraud and maladministration. In summary, therefore, Chairperson, in the view of the initial stages of the intervention proceedings, the department will only be in a position to provide a comprehensive reply on the steps taken against the senior management of these municipalities following submission of reports to the respective MECs by the administrators that are already appointed and functioning, detailing the investigations and findings. Any subsequent sections will be discussed and implemented through appropriate levers for back-to-basics consequences management by the relevant oversight parties involved in the management of the interventions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Follow-up question? And it's not a crime even if we have been answered. To say we have been answered.
Yeah.
Honorable Chetty.
No, thank you, Chair. And I'm not intimidated either, Chair. It is indeed a pity, Honorable Deputy Minister, that whilst you were in KZN in Mzunduzi 2 weeks back, that you did not take a visit to either Copesville or Woodlands, where the residents were embarking on service deliveries protests and barricading and burning of tires on main artillery roads in and out of those areas. And as usual, we'll take you to all of the fancy places and not where the service delivery core issues are happening. But my follow-up question, Honorable Chairperson, will be, the Auditor General highlighted the lack of leadership and capacity as contributors to many municipalities' declining financial issues. How many of the relevant officials have met the minimum competency set down in the MFMA regulations promulgated in 2007? This date has been extended yet again to 2015. Are we serious about clean audits? Recycling of unqualified and uncommitted officials or cadres into other municipalities without a blacklist or non-performance is counterproductive. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Let me assure Honorable Chetty that whilst I was in Msunduzi, I was taken even to the west areas. I've seen them, and I did ask the difficult questions about what are they going to be doing. And indeed, there are plans and programs that will be unfolding to ensure that. So they don't just take us to the most bright side of the cities. I also saw the west. And on my own, before I went to the municipality, I was driving around taking pictures, even of the worst scenarios, the dead on the streets. And I told them, I was even on radio to say, the city is not clean, you need to do something. So, and I promised them that I'll be coming back again, and I showed them the pictures and say, picture never lies. And this is what we're going to be doing in all municipalities as we move around with the minister, deputy ministers, and others, really being visible and ensuring that the back to basics is also be taken very, very seriously. And as far as the competency of the officials, definitely the minister is on board on that issue. We are now beginning to an audit of all municipalities to tell us, particularly on the critical skills, finance, on the revenue side, on the technical skills as engineering, who are the people employed there? Do they have the prerequisite skills? Are they qualified to be in those particular jobs? And so forth. And if indeed we uncover a lot of those who do not have the competent skills, then the municipality will be compelled to act, and so that then we can then begin to get people with competent skills to come in, so that we can then begin to have the clean audits and indeed the quality of services to improve, and so that there's efficiency around the service delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Mkwela.
Honorable Deputy Minister, potso ya ka ke gore the skills audit tsa di senior managers in municipalities has ke khale di ntse di diriwa. And gore di municipality tse dintsi especially tse di dissolvilweng gone byanong ebe di dissolvilo is because of lack of political leadership and management, administrative management. Now you are saying to us today that you are busy doing the skills audit again. It will take another 5 years to get to know who you employ, and it's gonna take another 5 years to know that those people don't qualify to in their respective positions. Now I'm asking Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister Hore, do you perhaps have a time frame? Yeah, your skills audit to senior managers in all the municipalities. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Ke a leboga haholo for potso eo. Ke nnete hore re na le di-time frames, but just to give you an indication, last week the minister already has announced that over 180 CFOs do not have competence skills. We have made it public. We just adopted 3 weeks ago back to basics, and then last week we announced. So that then begins to tell you a story that we mean it and we are going to be acting on it. So we've written to the municipalities to say, what are you doing about it? And therefore we'll be looking for actioning on the matter, where each municipality will then have to reply and say, what do you do with people who do not have competence skills? Have they trained them? We'll be checking on whether they were given an opportunity of training or not, or otherwise, if indeed these people have contributed to some of the AG's reports, queries and so forth, we'll then have to act on them. So the time is now, and indeed we have started acting, and I think we can just go into that report. Is there for you to see.
Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just to check with the Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, if this will also cover the audit of senior managers on supply chain management.
Yes, we'll also be including the supply chain because a lot of corruption, malpractice and maladministration takes place there. So we need to tighten our systems within the supply chain so that there's compliance and then everything is done in a transparent manner so that the issue of the suspicion that is there between the residents with their own local municipalities can then be dealt with once and for all so that we could then begin to see our people having confidence in their own municipalities and then so that then the municipalities can serve them well. And indeed we are going to be including all those people in the supply chain management. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Michalakis.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy Minister, what happens to officials such as municipal managers and CFOs when a municipality is placed under administration? And why did these previous interventions then fail?
Well, I will not have the information as to why the previous had failed because it's all about leadership and management. Once you are a leader, you make a commitment, and I think you just have to live with those particular commitments, act, and ensure that things happen. So probably, I'm not sure what were the circumstances on the previous, but as we speak now, we are indeed moving and acting to clean the service so that then municipalities can really do what is intended to do back to basics, deliver the services, manage the resources proper, and then ensure that the service deliver improvement, and there's quality, there's interaction with the people, and also there's a lot of talk, and then the participation by the residents, so that the residents and the municipalities can work in a cohesive manner to ensure that every municipality is an ideal place where people can live, work, play, school, and indeed enjoy their life. No, thank you very much.
Well, Honorable Van Lingen, you are one of the few that are very experienced, so you'll know that only 4
Chairperson, but I'm rising on a
supplementary
point
questions.
of order, because the first part of that question was not answered. Honorable Michalakis asked, what happens to the officials that are suspended? The Minister didn't answer that part of the question.
Honorable Van Lingen, make it easy for me. I'll make it very simple also for you. You know very well that only 4 supplementary questions. And we're done with that. So let's go to question number 130. Deputy Minister by Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The reply to the question is as follows. The province of Gauteng has Mfuleni local municipality, and the municipality manager qualification is the BTEC certificate in public management and industrial relationships. He is the highest earner. Then followed by the city of Tshwane in Gauteng, the qualification of the municipal manager, Master of Business Administration, BCom Honors, and BCom. So it's in the order of who is the highest in the top 10 ranking. Number 3 is the city of Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality in Gauteng, and the municipal city manager has a B Science Civil Engineering. The 4th is KwaZulu-Natal, a eThekwini municipality. The municipal manager has a B.Proc, postgraduate diploma in industrial relations, master in education, and MBL. Free State, the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality is the 5th, where municipal manager has a B.Proc, executive program in labor relations and leadership. Number 6 is Western Cape, city of Cape Town, where the municipal manager, city manager has a national certificate in housing management, national diploma in municipal administration, advanced diploma in public administration. Number 7 is Eastern Cape, Nelson Mandela Bay. The municipal manager has BSc Engineering. Number 8 is in the Free State, Fezile Dabi District Municipality. And the municipal manager there, the district manager there has Masters in Public Governance and Management, BA Private and Public Management, BA Honors Public Governance and Management, Postgraduate Certificate in Executive Municipal Management. Number 9 is in the Western Cape, the George Local Municipality. The municipal manager has a B Administration. And number 10 is Gauteng Mogale City Local Municipality. And the municipal manager has Masters of Business Administration, Diploma in Management Studies, Postgraduate Diploma in Labor Law, Bachelor of Art, Postgraduate Diploma in Management, in terms of the question as it was put to us. And obviously then on the second portion of the question was saying who are in terms of the categories of the municipalities, who are the top 3 earners? In the metropolitan municipalities, the top 3 earners is the city of Tshwane, the city of Johannesburg, and eThekwini. And it's Tshwane and Johannesburg are in Gauteng, and eThekwini is in KwaZulu-Natal. In terms of the district municipalities, is the district, Fezile district municipality is the top 3 earner in the district municipality in the Free State, followed by Entlanzeni district municipality in Mpumalanga, and then followed by Dr. Ruth Sohomutsi Mompati district municipality in the Northwest. And in terms of the local municipalities, the top 3 earners is Mfuleni local municipality in Gauteng, is George local municipality in the Western Cape, and just missing the last one here. Yeah, I'll come back to it in terms of the follow-ups.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. The Honorable Deputy Minister did not proceed into the other part of the question, the justification for those earnings. I do not want Chairperson to even go to the issue of asking what these earnings are, but you will recall previously I did indicate that I'm afraid some of these municipal high earners may even be earning a salary that is even more than the salary of the state president of the country. And their salary could even be more than the salary you are getting, Honorable Deputy Minister. And the question will be, with a jurisdiction that is so limited that they look after, and the jurisdictions of other people, I'm very interested in this issue of justification for such earnings. Thank you.
Thank you. The justification.
Thank you. The third municipality that I said was missing was Mohali in the local municipality, the top 3 earners in Gauteng. The justification for these salaries ordinarily derives from individual market research commissioned by each municipality to determine pay scales for their senior managers. The amendment of the System Act in 2011 and the introduction of a notice on upper limits in 2014 sought to correct some of these challenges inherent in the current policy. And the policy was inherited from 1984 under the text of the Municipalities Act. And it has been going on in that way. But then the minister now has the powers now to then begin to put a limit in them not ballooning and then going higher since June 2014 with a new gazette that has been introduced to cap the limits. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Faba.
Thank you, Chair. I hope those municipal managers that earn more than the president don't spend as much on their houses as well. But I would just like to know, does the minister perhaps know how many municipal managers are currently earning above the threshold stated in the regulation published in terms of the Local Government Municipal Act on 29 March 2014, and what will happen to those municipal managers when their contracts come to an end?
Well, I didn't hear the first portion of the question.
Many managers are earning above the threshold stated in the regulation published in terms of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act on 29 March, and what will happen to those managers when their contracts come to an end?
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Offhand, I don't have the...
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Sorry.
It's a... If you like to comment about it, there's nothing wrong, but it's a new question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, House Chairperson, that I don't have the information here because it was never sought or sought by the House itself, so I will not be able to then say how many of those municipal managers are. And then also, what happens when they go out of the system? Obviously, the new determination that the minister, the gazette that he has launched, is then going to put a limit. It means a municipality, before they can even employ their person at whatever cost, they have to then bring the submission to the minister to determine whether it's above or not. And the minister then has the power and the right to cap. And I think this new law is going to help us in really keeping the salaries to be within a particular bracket. Thank you.
Honorable Mokwele.
Motlatsa Minister, potso ya ka ke hore the municipal managers ka hore ba signa the performance agreement with the council, and you find that the determination of their salaries are way above, yet their performance is way below. I'm just wondering, or want to pose this question to you, to ask that, do you perhaps thinking of amending the Systems Act, Municipal Systems Act, whereby the municipal managers and managers reporting to him are appointed on a permanent basis to avoid the salaries that are way too much and the performance is way below. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kwere. It's a new one, but if you would like to comment, Deputy Minister.
Look, I mean, we get worried, obviously, that people earn a salary and they really need to show their competencies and their performance ought to be high. And we believe that the Back to Basics program is now going to be the measurement instrument to ensure that there is ultimate performance across all municipalities. And the minister has announced, Minister Pravin Gordon yesterday, that we are even developing a system that is going to be monitoring municipalities daily to then begin to look at performances as a major yardstick to ensure that indeed whatever we pay or is being paid to the municipal managers and other officials is within the competency of what they're delivering as services. And I think that system will help us quite a lot. But obviously there's no discussion as yet in terms of amending the Municipal Systems Act to then give people full time forever. And I don't think it will be some consideration because we ought then to look as to what would be the reason for that. And we didn't provide the reasons. But as the House Chair said, it's a new question, but I don't think we're looking at it for now.
Honorable Dlamini, last supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I just want to ask the Honorable Deputy Minister that at the time of appointment of these top earners, did the Minister had powers to intervene or to influence the municipal manager's package in order to justify, as raised by Honorable Kaula, the payment at the time of appointment? Did the Minister had powers to do so?
Honorable Deputy Minister.
No, the Minister had no powers at all. So municipalities were an independent sphere doing their own thing within their own environment. But they will be governed by, they used to be governed by the Municipal Tax Act of 1984 at the time, which was later amended in 2011 into the Municipal Systems Act, still without the minister's powers there, until recently, when the minister then decided that I think we needed an instrument that could then begin to regulate, cap, and indeed bring order of the ballooning of the salaries within the municipalities. And I think this is a very good instrument that we need to appreciate as a nation and really support it going forward so that we could then begin to derive performance out of whatever we're paying within a regulated environment. And the minister therefore has those powers as of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Move to question number 135 by the Honorable Nzimande. Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Yes, the best measure of the success or otherwise of any initiatives is the extent to which the initiative has met or is it meeting its objectives. With regard to the CWP, the Community Works Program, its primary objective is to provide the poor and the unemployed people with a safety net in the form of guaranteed part-time work opportunity for which they receive a monthly stipend. The assessment has been undertaken through the following processes. 1, site visits. The management of the program continuously monitors the implementation of the program, not only identifying achievements and best practices for sharing among sites, but also pinpointing challenges that require corrective action. This is done through regular site visits and program performance reports that are presented and analyzed in community work program structure, stakeholder meetings such as those of local reference groups. It will be a group of people at the community who are appointed to be the local reference committee and the provincial steering committees. These platforms help keep the CWP on track. On the evaluation, number 2, the evaluation was done by the department itself, cooperative governance, and also the Department of Planning and Monitoring and Evaluation. Further to that work, the department is presently undertaking a formal and scientific nationwide assessment of the CWP in collaboration with the Department of performance monitoring and evaluation in the presidency. The evaluation is looking at the adequacy of the design of the program, the implementation process, results to date, the program sustainability, and prospects for a full-blown impact evaluation in the future. Data collection, including the review of relevant documents, data analysis, and the generation of first draft report has been completed. The draft report has been circulated to stakeholders for inputs. The entire project will be completed before the end of this financial year. The third is the research done by the TIPS and the University of Cape Town. Indeed, self-reports by participants in research studies commissioned by the Trade and Industrial Policy Strategies TIPS and conducted by the University of Cape Town Center for Democratizing Information indicate that the work opportunities have not only provided CWP participants with cash to buy basic commodities such as food and clothing, but it has allowed them to procure other services such as childcare and transport services. The positive domino effect of the latter is that participants are consequently able to go in search of real jobs on the days when they are not engaged in the CWP. I thank you.
Thank you. I think members might have noticed that the minister went for 136. So let's have supplementary questions in terms of 136. Then we'll go back to 135. There's no problem. There's no harm. We're dealing with 136. Honorable Nzimande.
Yeah, I thank you, Chair. In the light of the answer, the latter part of the answer, reflecting on the assessment that and evaluation that is being made to the program, would the Deputy Minister assure us that the element of linkages to decent job and employment would be considered or would be part of the outcomes that they are awaiting after the end of the evaluation and the assessment? I thank you, House Chair.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, as you know, that the community work program is a part-time program itself. People work for 2 days a week, and then they get a stipend. And the other 3 days, people are released to go and look for a real job somewhere. As and when they get their job, then they will get out of the program, and because then they've got a job somewhere. And then those who remain in the program, they remain forever until such time that they are able to get a job. And I hope, therefore, on the last portion of the questions, I didn't get you well, Honorable Nsibande. But then the impacts of these stipends, and I think it's something that we've also studied, that indeed it does bring relief to the families. There's in the report here, which is can be made available to the honorable members by the University of Cape Town. It does give some kind of a very good story. For example, the study was done on the family of 5, 2 unemployed adults and 3 children, where their income was just 20,000 per annum from the grants. And once the mother and the father who were unemployed were on the program, each earning 4,000 per annum, that brings it to 8,000 and so. Then they were able to be moved from the data from poor to not poor. And then in that, then they were able then to also begin to afford other services within, for their own consumption. So therefore, this program will then feel that it's a very useful program in order to fight poverty, alleviate poverty, and also help in those communities, particularly the vulnerables, to get an opportunity of an income whilst looking for a job somewhere. I hope I answered the last.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just like to assure the Deputy Minister that it won't be a new question, although it was a new answer. Chairperson, through you, how many beneficiaries of the community work program were upskilled and went on to receive permanent employment outside the community work program? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, I do not have the number, but there's a report that was done by Southern Hemisphere, which was done jointly with the Department of Planning, Performance Monitoring and Evaluation, as earlier indicated. And in it, they really give statistics per province. It's a very thick document, 182 pages, Honorable Member, which then it can be made available to the members of the select committee to can really begin to see the impact and the analysis. It does point out to the successes. It also does point out to challenges that are still there. And one of the challenges was lack of training in the program. But ever since this report was released, training is now one of the activities that the participants now do get on a variety of skills, life skills and other skills, so that then they can then use those skills to also go and market for a proper job or a sufficient job somewhere. So now training is now included because the report had indicated to us that the lack of training therefore was not helping these people to can look for a job somewhere, but now we do include training. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back, Deputy Minister, to question 135. The one of adopt a municipality project.
Oh, so I jumped that one.
Yes.
Eh?
Or if you are still searching for it, you can go to the 142 if your papers are in order.
Okay, fine. I'll come back to that one then. Yeah.
The one of Honorable Mateis.
Yeah. Chair, the reply on that question of Honorable Mateis, in response to challenges emanating from municipalities, the department, in partnership with provinces, recently conducted a comprehensive assessment of the performance of municipalities, which resulted in the State of Local Government report, which was tabled at the Presidential Local Government Summit held in September 2014. The assessment found that at least a third of municipalities are not doing well, are in a state of financial distress. This therefore calls for the remedial measures to be put in place to address general challenges identified and those that are unique to individuals, municipalities informed by their local context. To this end, a joint program of action and all collaboration arrangements have been forged with the National Treasury and other sector departments whose line functions impact on service delivery. The recent audit outcomes report reflect a slight improvement in aggregate. The Minister, together with the Minister of Finance, will take firm action to address shortcomings of financial management in local government. A back-to-basic action plan has been developed to enhance the overall institutional performance of municipalities. This is designed to ensure that municipalities deliver basic services in a sustainable manner, improve service standards by putting people first, open channels of community engagement, and restore confidence, achieve good governance and sound financial management, and strengthen their institutional capacity through efficient administrative system and processes coupled with good managerial skills. Thank you. A performance management system will be institutionalized to recognize and reward good performance, ensure sufficient consequences for non-performance, and ensure provision of appropriate support for underperformance. Citizens will be empowered through forums and tools to hold the councillors they have elected accountable. In this instance, COCTA will conduct regular national citizen satisfaction surveys and assist municipalities in developing community engagements and plans. So I hope I've responded to that.
Honorable Mateis.
Thank you, Minister. I think our government has become or has gotten to a point where we're very, very, very good at coming and declaring all the wonderful plans that we have. to monitor municipalities or whatever else we want to do. But we don't really report back on what has been done. And my question on this one is that, are the officials and senior employees who are implicated, for example, in your Auditor General reports, are they being brought to book, whether it's via criminal charges, whether it's paying back the money, whether it's them being blacklisted from positions, as it seems to be with the national government? There just seems to be some level of protection. And if this is not the case, then why is it that there's not a significant number of officials and municipality employers who are brought to book, who are charged, that's in line with our Auditor General's report? So I'd like to get more of a feedback of what has happened, what have we done with the Auditor General's reports that we've received, and what the outcomes have been. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, usually the Auditor General's report will be indicating problems, challenges, and then also recommend corrective measures in those particular issues that they've identified, working with the officials and the municipalities, also including the management, which is the leadership, political leadership, to ensure that indeed all the cities do get clean audits. So whatever are the corrective measures, obviously there's no indication in the reports except if there's corruption alleged, and indeed if corruption is alleged in any of those reports, then investigation will then be conducted and people will be suspended, and then until they can then appear before the courts and whatnot. But otherwise, where the Auditor General just says corrective measures ought to be implemented and effected, it will be that way. And if indeed he says that competence skills are not in place, the corrective measures include removing people who are not competent enough to be in that particular space, who erroneously will then continue. And some of the issues of why municipalities also get opinions from the Auditor General and disclaimers and so forth is the lack of accounting on invoices, documentation and so forth, just simple basics issues. Keep the receipts in order so that when the Auditor General comes, you are able to provide. You must then keep your books together so that when you are asked to provide evidence, the evidence is there. So in a number of the opinions by the Auditor General, we find those things are not done. And I think those are the issues that we said. The back to basics is now going to be looking at. And I think it's resting on 5 areas, good governance being one of them, and also capabilities of the people that are employed in the municipalities. So let's then allow that program and the process to clean whatever mess that might be there in certain municipalities. The 1/3 of the municipalities obviously are in that law. And then indeed there are people who are charged for corruption and for other maladministration. I will not have the figure and the number here now, because then obviously it's asking a new question in terms of whether I have the number or the figures. I do not have it with me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Laboskagan.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Deputy Minister, given the deteriorating stance of local government, and given that the National Development Plan calls for, amongst others, the professionalization of the state, what specific measures, other than an audit that you already mentioned, and performance systems that should have already been part of the system, will your department put in place to ensure that officials in the local government sphere are required to have professional qualifications and the capabilities, as you just mentioned, rather than just an affiliation to the ANC? The specific measurements, not the outcomes, but the measurements to reach the outcomes.
Indeed, the NDP does call for the professionalization of the state, to have a capable state that can perform its duties. And the MFMA also does give us the power as an instrument to act on any wrongdoing within the municipalities. And indeed, all those provisions put together are giving us the power to act in order then to really intervene and bring to order in those particular areas. Therefore, the minister is already on record that he will not hesitate. He will indeed act, and he will point out that the wrongdoing. He will even talk to it, so that municipalities there where they employ, because it's not him who is employing, must then act and ensure therefore that those people who are being in the wrongdoing then can then be dealt with in accordance with all the laws that we have, included acting and ensuring that there's firm leadership and ensure therefore that we are able then to deliver on the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable Van Lingen.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. If we look at the order paper of today, there are 23 questions that have been asked about local government and obviously about poor performing municipalities and the poor state of local government. Now, if the Deputy Minister says what he has just said, and he replied to Honourable Labaskagni's question with the measures that are in place, why do we still have so many municipalities that are underperforming? Are they not, can the minister not impose those powers? Can he not implement what he has to do? Is there impasse in the department?
Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think that answer was given. And then the back to basic is just 3 weeks old to say this is how we are going to be engaging the municipalities to ensure that we clean the road out of the municipality. And the minister is on record saying that 1/3 of the municipalities out of 278, they are dysfunctional. We are on record saying that. We are not hiding the truth. We are saying it as is. To say, and therefore the intervention programs are being designed to ensure that we go in there and help in the environment and correct whatever is wrong and deal with whatever wrongdoing that is there. And we said we are going to act. We are not going to be hesitant. And then I think I've answered that, and the minister is on record to say 1/3 of the municipalities are dysfunctional in South Africa, and we are going to be helping them and in dealing with the wrongdoing if there's any wrongdoing in it. So we are going to be acting, and indeed we are ready, and then we are rolling, and indeed watch the space and then see what happens as we go along. It's going to take time. It's not going to be something that you achieve in a week, because in many instances you ought to go and look at the source and the cause of the problem. You don't just act irrationally. And simply because somebody is dysfunctional, you go in there and say, you go. You need to go in and say, what is the problem? How can we help them? Why can we help them? But obviously, if it's about competent skills, we have already on record to say, where the skills are not in place, we'll then have to then indicate and say, go, so that then the competent skills can be in place. So, because we may find that there was a lot of nepotism and a lot of hiring of brothers, sisters, and what have you, and hence the municipality is not functional. So let's allow those investigations on each municipalities to be done, as we have started doing so. That's why we're able to then identify dysfunctional. It's a lot of issues. There's administration, it's competency, and other things. We have already categorized what are the problems, but we need to go deeper now to engage with the provinces and in working with the municipalities towards ensuring that municipalities then become the center of excellence, and indeed municipalities performs to deliver better services. And this ANC government is going to really make municipalities to be loved and to function and to perform on service delivery. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Mkwili, the last supplementary, I'm told.
Okay. We are now on back to basic. We have been having many programs to address this problem, and it has never finished at any time. Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister, I understand in various municipalities, your department has deployed what we call ministerial task teams. I just want to check what is how do those teams impact in the underperforming of the municipalities, the results that they are bringing to the department to make sure that a specific, I will cite an example of Madibeng local municipality in the Northwest. What is it that those teams are doing to make sure that municipalities are improving? Based on this question again, I want to check with you, how do you advise provinces in terms of invoking section 1391A, B, or C to municipalities? Because you might find that some municipalities are underperforming, but the section 1391B or C is not invoked, but others are better than those ones, but that section will be invoked to those municipalities. So I want to check whether maybe, I know it's a prerogative of the province, executive of the province, but I just want to check with you whether there are some advices to that. Thank you very much.
Honorable Member Mukweli, it seems to me you have put two completely new questions under the supplementary. The question I am advised you are dealing with is the question which is asking about remedial action. Deputy Minister, if you have the appetite to respond to the questions as put by the member, I will not say no.
Well, I was going to say that these are two new questions, obviously, that need a set of responses. Thank you.
My advice, Honorable Mukweli, is that you do put them in as questions because they are completely departing from the line, the responses which are on this one. Yes, I know. I have been following.
Remedial action. The ministerial task team is part of the remedial action. That's why I'm posing this question. The
but there's no ministerial task team. If you can mention what is the name of that ministerial task team, who's heading
order. Both
sorry.
the Deputy Minister and the Honourable Member, you are speaking without being recognized by the Chair.
Thanks, sorry, madam.
And
my apology.
Yeah, I get where you are coming from, Honourable Mukweli. In terms of Section 154, Deputy Minister, in Madibeng, there is a mixed team which is supposed to come from the Minister and the province. I suppose that is what the Honourable Member is referring to. But I would recommend, because the way you phrased your question completely brings in a new question, that you put it down on paper and that it becomes a new question. Can we then move on, Honourable Members, to question number 135?
Thank you, Chairperson. The department has not yet undertaken an assessment of the Business Adopt a Municipality program. The focus currently is on upscaling it in order to increase the number of private sector organizations participating in the program. In this regard, the department is in the process of developing guidelines to assist provinces and municipalities to facilitate Business Adopt a Municipality partnerships independently. The National Department of Cooperative Governance has been coordinating, facilitating, and monitoring the implementation of all the current partnerships. The Business Adopt a Municipality guidelines will assist municipalities to initiate partnerships on their own, with minimal assistance from both national and provincial government. The implementation of the guidelines will also enable the Department of Corporate Governance to focus more on monitoring the implementation of the program. The guidelines will be finalized in February 2015. As more partnerships are established, the program will be better positioned to be assessed and reviewed. Thank you.
The Honourable Nsemande.
I thank you, Honourable Chairperson. To the Honourable Deputy Minister, I would like him to allay what would be concerns in terms of this partnership between the businesses and municipalities, that the guidelines would make sure that there are checks and balances and guarantees that do not make businesses that are in partnership with municipalities be given overindulgence in tenders or in contracts with the municipality, that the guidelines would be purely assisting to capacitate the municipality, and that it stick to the intended purposes and objectives of the program. I thank you,
Honourable Minister.
Indeed, the guidelines will be serving that purpose, so that then there's uniformity across all municipalities, and that indeed business is not entering there because they want to be favored or so, but it's there to help and bring whatever skills that may be in shortage in the municipalities in areas that might have been identified and agreed in the memorandum of understanding with that particular set company. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. My question to the Deputy Minister is simple. Why didn't your department undertake an assessment of this campaign, the Adopt a Municipality project? Because how will you know, how will you measure the success of this project if you don't do thorough or regular assessment? For me, it's purely, it says that you fail because you don't know what is happening in this project. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Deputy Minister.
The partnerships are a voluntary activity between municipalities and the companies. Therefore, there's no law that imposes anything that says the department must therefore. It's a partnership that we say, let there be a guidelines, and we just want to see all municipalities, if they want to enter into that, having a guideline that they subscribe to, and then that guides them. But there's nothing that says we must then therefore legislate that particular environment. That is why we just leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Fundingen.
Honourable Chairperson, you know, this business adopt a municipality is a system that started or was first announced in 2005, in March 2005. So what the Minister is saying is that to date, no assessment has been done. But my question would be, how would this adopt a municipality by business differ from a public-private partnership?
Honourable Deputy Minister.
The program started in 2010, not 2005, as part of the local government turnaround strategy, when the minister convened a meeting of business and the municipalities to say, those companies that are within that particular space of the municipalities, if you see that you could have particular competence skills that you can share with those in the municipalities, can you too collaborate, enter into some kind of an agreement, identify that area? It can be project management, it can be on the technical side of things, and then I think municipalities therefore opt for whatever is the agreement and the area of emphasis that might have been entered between themselves and the loaner. And therefore the guidelines is what we think it will be adequate enough for us to be able then to give to the municipalities rather than the imposing measures that I think honourable members want us to move into. It's a voluntary association, a voluntary partnership that must be encouraged at the local level between municipalities, and so long as it's governed by the guidelines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Honourable Masango.
Chairperson, thank you. I would like to find out if the Municipal Public Finance Management Act provides for this kind of partnerships, such as the Business Adopt a Municipality project. Thanks.
The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Well, it will not be covered within the Municipal the Public Finance Management Act, because it's not public money that is being spent in the partnership. It's a voluntary activity, and there might not even be monies involved in it, where a company in that area might then begin to look at the need that might be having an impact on the performance of the municipalities, enter with them, agree, send in personnel, second personnel to go and help that municipality at no cost at all. And then therefore they will not therefore be governed by the PFMA as a result of that. So it's more a voluntary activity, and that we're encouraging that companies should from time to time bring whatever skills that are there in the private sector into the public sector, which then they just get governed in that collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That takes care of question 135. And thank you very much, Deputy Minister Babela. Members, we move on to a question raised by the Honorable Masango to the Minister in the Presidency. Question 117. Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The presidential hotline categorizes complaints into a number of functional topics closely linked to the business of different departments. Service delivery-related complaints constitute 80% of all complaints, and also we do not have a category of governance in our classification of presidential hotline complaints. Alleged corruption-related complaints constitute 1%, and the breakdown of the top 5 complaints to the presidential hotline are as follows. Employment or labor-related complaints constitute about 20%, which is 31,600 complaints. Housing and land are 14.6%. Local government, basic service and utilities, 12.8%. Crime and justice cases are 9.4%, which is about 15,194. And lastly, information from government, which is 5. Out of the 14 categories, constitute about 9.8% of all of those complaints. The process being followed to ensure that the line departments resolve the complaints received via the hotline is managed by the Directorate Presidential Hotline in the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation. The Directorate Presidential Hotline is tasked with daily monitoring of the resolution by the line departments. They monitor the interaction of the line departments with the web-based reporting system and have regular engagements with departments to ensure they provide updated progress reports on the web-based reporting system for each case. A minimum performance benchmark of 80% was set on complaints resolution, and we produce regular scorecards on the performance of every department against this target, and then present this information to the Forum of South Africa's Directors General FOSAT, to the President's Coordinating Council, PCC, and also to Cabinet. The process followed to ensure that the line departments resolve the complaints received via the hotline is that, as part of investigating the complaints, the departments contact the citizens concerned to update them on progress made. The citizens also make contact. Okay. The citizens also calls the presidential hotline call center, and the call agents are able to read from the system any progress recorded by the line department. If departmental complaint investigators are not logging on to the system to update progress, or if the progress they recorded is not meaningful, or if there are complaints which have been unresolved for a long time, we meet with that specific department or province to try to address the problems with them. In addition to the number of complaints received, the department produces performance information on the following aspects. A, the percentage of complaints received versus the percentage of complaints resolved for each department. B, age of outstanding unresolved complaints. And C, the subcategories of types of complaints received for each department. And lastly, the outcome of customer satisfaction surveys for complaints assigned to a department.
The Honorable Masango. Honorable Masango is the asker. Does she not have a... A point of order, yes, sir.
Just to note, Chairperson, the wrong question was answered. It was not 116 answered, it was 117 that was answered now. Thank you.
The wrong question was not answered. I directed the House to go to question 117. So the right answer, the right question as directed was responded to. Honorable Masango, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. I do have a supplementary question. Departments, municipalities, and provincial governments have their own customer care lines. Is the presidential hotline not a duplication of this function? And if so, how does the hotline ensure the repeat callers are treated as updates and not as brand new incidents? Thanks,
The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Because of the priority that is given to each of the calls made to the presidential hotline, each and every caller to the presidential hotline is treated as though it is a new question and is dealt with within that context. And because of the response rate that we have received, we believe that the presidential hotline is not necessarily a duplication, but in fact has been extremely effective in helping to resolve the queries that have been raised. Yes, there are hotlines at the different government levels, municipalities and provincial and departmental hotlines, but we believe that as part of the function of monitoring and evaluation, and also as part of the President taking responsibility for the entirety of government and its performance, the presidential hotline is one of the instruments that the President has to ensure that he holds government departments and all spheres of government responsible and accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Mukwili, the Honorable Mateis, and the Honorable von Lingen, in that order.
Oh, okay. Honorable Deputy Minister, I understand in terms of the hotline, there is a system where a question will be posed to a particular department for response for a certain period. And if that question is not answered within that specific time allocated, it will be regarded as unresolved. Other questions will be posed in that system for a specific, particular time, and the department will try to answer those questions, and the person who asked that question is not convinced, or is not convinced on the method that the answer has been posed to him. Now, I'm asking whether those questions that are posed for a specific time and are answered, partially answered, do you regard them as questions that are dealt with, or do you regard them as pending questions? And the other issue is that the system is linked to municipalities. It is linked to municipalities. It is linked to customer satisfactory survey system in municipalities. When the question comes from the president, it goes to customer care department within the municipality, and that municipality will then circulate the question to the relevant department. So I'm still saying to you, that is the duplication of functions, because there are people in the municipality that...
The second part is a comment, but also you had exhausted your 2 minutes. And I've been proud that the NCOP is now on top on their game on the questions, and working within. Deputy Minister, the first part of the question, which the Honorable Mukweli posed, is answerable. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The point is, and I think if you look at the nature of the questions that we receive through the presidential hotline, people say, we've gone here, we've spoken to these people, we've gone to the municipality, to the province, there is no response, and that the presidency is our final port of call. And I think reasonably so. So it does not matter with who, how many times, and all of that. Finally, people want to know whether the President of the Republic is able to resolve their problems. So I think that is in relation to your comment. So it is not a duplication. But in relation to your first question, there are questions which are inconclusive. If you look at the category of questions, people call the presidential hotline looking for a job. Now, you can only conclude responding to those questions if that person gets a job. You know, and if that person has not gotten a job, it means the question is inconclusive. You know, so I think we obviously apply reasonableness in terms of whether the question has been responded to or not, and that decision, as I've indicated in the response, it's a web-based system where both the department or level of government that is concerned participate in the process, the complainant also participate in the process to determine whether the query has been satisfactorily responded to or not. And it's not only about responding to the question, it's also about the action that has been taken and the quality of that action. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Mattis.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Minister, how much does this, the presidential hotline cost to operate annually, and does the results yield equally to the amounts of money that we're spending? And my second question, how many calls have you received on the presidential hotline asking the President to pay back the Nkandla money? Thank you.
Honourable Mattis, you are supposed to put a supplementary question. You are supposed to put a supplementary question, not supplementary questions. Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. We will furnish the details which are contained in our annual report in terms of how much specifically does it cost to run the presidential hotline. And unfortunately, the citizens of the Republic are not there to echo the wishes and interests and whims of certain opposition political parties. So there has not been any sort as far as we know. Thank you.
The Honourable von Lingen. Order, members.
Honourable Chairperson, the Deputy Minister is telling a good story about the presidential hotline. However, we have posed questions in this House in the fourth term about using specific reference numbers given to people, and then when we ask the question referring to that reference number given for that question, we are told by this hotline that there's no such question, there's no such reference number. The Minister or Deputy Minister is talking about a web-based system, and that I had the most wonderful experience this week when I complained about one of the state-owned entities, where I contacted Hello Peter, and it responded, the department responded immediately, and I think this is what they must do with the presidential hotline. Make it web-based, make it open on the internet, and then people will respond immediately.
Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. I think I must indicate that the system is not designed to respond to hypothetical or fictitious complaint. If you create a complaint to test the system it will definitely not to respond to such hypothetical or fictitious complaint. And secondly, that not the majority of South Africans have got access to the World Wide Web, and therefore we want to keep the complaining system as broadly accessible as possible.
Deputy Minister, the question I heard, the long preamble was that when a complainant uses the line, the hotline, it gives this person a reference number. Ms. von Lungen, the Honorable says, when you then want to do a follow-up using the reference number, which was generated by your question, you are then told the question does not exist. That was the thrust of the question. Are you able to respond on it, or do you want to come back on the specifics on this matter using the reference which the Honorable von Lingen used to test the line?
I think we can, if we are given the specifics, we can look at those specific complaints about a caller having been given a reference number and we're being told that it does not exist. But as of now, if it's a broad question, we're not able to respond to that. And also, if it is in reference to some things that happened in the fourth term, and I must emphasize that the presidential hotline has been going through a lot of revamp, and mainly because of the inputs that members of parliament have been making. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. von Lingen, the Honorable, please approach the DM on this so that we can. It is important for us to do this, Deputy Minister, because most people do rely on the hotline to deliver for them, and sometimes not really directly deliver for them, but to bring certain matters to the attention of government. Honorable members, we are moving on to the next question, which is question number 124, put by the Honorable von Lingen. Deputy Minister.
Thank you. The report presented to Parliament on 17 September 2014 reflects the result of the Municipality Performance Assessment tool. The results of the Management Performance Assessment tool for the period ended 30 September 2013. The improvement in the MPAT scores in Limpopo departments could be attributed to the efforts to improve management practices due to the presence of the intervention team under Section 100 of the Constitution. This could have prompted the departments to improve their management practices. A further factor attributable to the improvement is the efforts of the Office of the Premier to improve the management practices across all departments in the province.
Honorable von Lingen.
I'd like to ask the Deputy Minister how this came about, because when we had the Minister of Finance lifted the administration or the intervention in this term, there were a number of serious matters still to be resolved, like the IT systems were not in place, that there were too many vacancies, and that certain cases weren't resolved, etc., etc. How come this department is, or this province is now performing so well?
The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you. The Section 100 has not been lifted, firstly, in relation to Limpopo. But secondly, that it is exactly because of the intervention of national government that there is improvement. The assessment of the national and provincial government department are based on 33 or 34 areas of assessment, and on the basis of those areas, it shows that the Limpopo provincial government has improved over the last, over the period of assessment. Thank you.
The Honorable Tlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. also on the criteria used. How come is, on a very serious note, Western Cape is number 1. If you look at Khayelitsha, Nyanga, all these other places where our black people are staying, and you look at the other part, it's 2 different worlds. So when you have a report that says Western Cape is number 1, to the people from Nyanga, Khayelitsha, and other areas, it does not make sense. Maybe we should consider, look at the criteria used, so that when we say this province is number 1, the results say so. What is the criteria used?
The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. As I said, that look, it may be a case that a particular province has got higher ratings in relation to the categories of assessment, which in this case would be the Western Cape. And those areas are not a reflection, by the way, of the quality of life of the people in the particular province. We have to look at the tools used, the areas of assessment. It is about issues of audits. It is about issues of compliance with access to information. It is about all of those areas. In the overall, the objective of the tool, obviously, is to ensure that we zoom in terms of the quality of life of our people, and whether is government at the different levels making an impact. But the second area is that we have to make a distinction between the assessment of municipalities and the services that municipalities are supposed to provide, and also the assessment of national and provincial government. As is now, there is a pilot for municipal assessment, which is in 25 municipalities, and we hope that that will also help to reveal some of the challenges, weaknesses, and problems, in the municipalities. And I'm probably the cooperative governance would also have a different picture in relation to the issues that you're raising about the quality of life of our people in general or in the Western Cape, and how that relates to the assessment tool. But we rely on the assessment tool. It's the second year running, and we hope that over time it will be able to help us to reveal the real conditions of our people, and therefore be able to make policy interventions to change those particular conditions.
The Honorable Michalakis.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Minister, from your reply to the Honourable van Dingen, one would almost say that you are saying that one needs an intervention in order to govern well, but I'm going to leave that there. Minister, in terms of Section 100 of the Constitution, it is this House which is responsible for approving and overseeing the administration of a provincial administration by the National Executive. Yet this House was not furnished with the reports by the administrators into the 5 departments under administration in Limpopo. My question is, when assessing the Limpopo provincial government, was your department given access to the reports of the administrators? If not, can you honestly say that your assessment of Limpopo's performance was accurate?
Honourable Deputy Minister.
The report, the Management Performance Assessment Tools report, is dependent on the reports that we have received from the departments that we are assessing, all of the departments, including the provincial government of Limpopo. So it is based on those particular reports. And I think if this House has not been given those reports, it is this House has the power and authority to ensure that the administrator and or the said departments do furnish those particular reports.
The Honourable Kaula.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Since the how comes are being used, Honorable Deputy Minister, I'm also going to use the how come. Yes, the two honorable members have used the how come. How come does it happen that my friend here is very ill, gets to the ICU, gets better, transferred to the ward, and all of a sudden he has got better health than my friend here who has never been ill? How does it happen? Because that is what is happening in this scenario.
The Deputy Minister is asked to diagnose and heal.
I have no knowledge of how doctors and nurses do their trade. Hopefully, if I had, that trade, I would have been able to. But I think the point which we want to underline in relation to Limpopo, Cabinet, or rather the previous administration, realized that there are problems. And I think those problems have been issues of the public. And therefore an intervention was made. And on the basis of that intervention, we're beginning to see the result. It is not that logic, the logic of the other how comes, but it is the logic that action has been taken, and on the basis of that action, that's why we are seeing these results.
Thank you, honourable members. We are moving on to the next question. It's question 129 posed by the Honourable Kaula. Deputy Minister.
The President has not yet signed any performance agreement with ministers or deputy ministers for the current term of office. Performance agreements between the President and ministers are currently being drafted based on the recently approved medium-term strategy framework and are due to be signed by the end of November. These agreements will cover the full term of office of this administration. Once the President has signed the performance agreements with his ministers, he will meet with them periodically to review progress. The contents of the performance agreements will be based on the medium-term strategy framework. Cabinet will be reviewing progress reports by outcomes coordinating ministers against the medium-term strategy framework 3 times a year. Following these reviews, progress against the MTSF will be made public through the Program of Action website, which is linked to the DPME website. Consequences for ministers who perform poorly are a matter for the discretion of the President. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Kaula.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Thanks, Deputy Minister. I'm very happy. But I also still do want to know and also would like to get assurances that poor performing ministers will suffer the consequences. But also go on to say we hope we will not see the precedence of what has been a habit before, that when you are a minister, you perform poorly, you are a deputy minister, you perform poorly, you are an MEC or a premier, you perform poorly. The poor international relations then suffers the consequences. It then becomes the landing pad for the poor performing officials up there in the cabinet. Thank you.
Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. As I said in my response, the issue of performance of ministers and deputy ministers is the discretion of the President. The rest of the other issues are none of my business. Thank you.
The Honourable von Lingen.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm actually very glad to hear that these performance agreements have not been signed. Maybe they've not been drafted, because you know what we should bring in there? That the ministers must see that they answer the questions of the NCOP, that they attend our committee meetings, and that they come to this house and not send other ministers. Please, we will ask the minister if he could include that.
Deputy Minister, that was a comment, and I'm sure it is echoed by all the members of the NCOP. To your response, sir.
It's part of the performance of the executive.
Honorable members, I only had 2 hands for supplementaries. We pass on to the next question, and it is the question which was asked by Dr. H. Mateme. That is question 133, DM. Has the Chief Whip made provisions?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. The Chief Whip has made provisions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please proceed, Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Yes, the department did an assessment of the last 4 years of the presidential hotline, as I indicated even earlier with the response, and produced a publication, 4 years of the presidential hotline, and a video depicting field stories from a number of citizens who have used the hotline. Both of these are available on our website, the DPME website. It is the intention of the department to subject the presidential hotline to an independent evaluation during the 2015-2016 financial year, subject to funding availability. A 4-year overview of performance report was also tabled to Cabinet in 2014, and that report is also accessible on our website. DPME has a directorate which is tasked with daily monitoring of the resolution by the line departments, provinces, and municipalities. They monitor the interaction of the line departments with the web-based reporting system, which I spoke at length about earlier on. And finally, that the performance reports are also presented to Cabinet at least twice a year. After approval by Cabinet, the performance information is published on the website. At the request of any portfolio committee, the department will present information on the performance of the presidential hotline.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? The Honorable Stock.
Sabotage, Honorable Chair.
There you are, sir.
No, Honorable Chair, I was saying I don't have any follow-up questions. I'm fairly covered by the response of the Deputy Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Stock. Any other member follow-up? None. We proceed, Honorable members, to question number 137 put by the Honorable T. Wana. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Outcome 12 of the medium-term strategy framework is an efficient, effective, and development-oriented public service, close quote. A sub-outcome of this is increased responsiveness of public servants and accountability to citizens, close quote. Here, we have set targets for revitalizing the Batupili program, as well as improved feedback opportunities to citizens and other service users. To support this, DPME, together with the South African Police Service, Department of Health, SASSA, and Department of Social Development, is running a national citizen-based monitoring trial at a number of police stations, SASSA offices, welfare services points, and health facilities. The aim is to develop a practical approach to putting citizen care into the performance management system of government. The approach uses citizen feedback as a way to measure performance and to drive local service delivery improvements. Community survey teams are recruited through programs such as community works programs and trained to interview fellow community members on the performance of their local police, health services, etc. This feedback is compiled into local citizens' report, which identify and rank performance challenges based on citizens' views. These reports are used in dialogues between government officials and community members on how and what to improve. These dialogues result in negotiated improvement plans which are presented to the broader community and then monitored by community leadership and sector departments. The first cycle of this community-based monitoring has just been completed in Msinga and KZN and Maluti Apofung, where it has generated a very positive local response. The trial is now being expanded to other provinces and will be evaluated next year for upscaling. This approach is set out in the framework for strengthening citizen-government partnership for monitoring frontline service delivery. This framework was approved by Cabinet in August last year and is available on the DPME website.
Thank you. Honorable Wana. Honorable Gai.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I've been given a responsibility of making a follow-up, but I'm very satisfied with the comprehensive response by the Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Honourable members, any other supplementary? None. Honourable Deputy Minister, we will proceed to your last question of the day. It is question 146.
Thank you. Through our roadmap, which is the National Development Plan, we have identified, amongst others, the shortcomings in the education system, which is the backbone for skills development in our country. Improving education, training and innovation is dealt with extensively in Chapter 9 of the NDP. We have identified 4 subsectors that will enhance and contribute to skills development. These are early childhood development, basic education, post-school, and national research and innovation. The medium-term strategy framework provides specific targets aimed at enhancing skills development in the country in the next 5 years. Government will continuously monitor implementation and review progress to determine whether government is on course in achieving its transformational and skills development objectives. Our country's transformation agenda is aimed at reducing poverty, inequality, and joblessness. This can be realized by drawing the energies of all South Africans towards growing and inclusive economy, building the necessary capabilities and partnerships throughout society. Ministers are appointed by the President and therefore are accountable to him and not the minister in the presidency. The President has put in place an accountability mechanism in the form of performance agreements between him and his ministers, and as we said earlier on, these will be finalized by the end of November. The President meets with his ministers periodically to review progress against the performance agreements, and therefore the consequences on poor performance also lies with him. Thank you.
The Honourable Mukweli.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of Honorable Mtileni, who is out on an official trip, we don't have a follow-up questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other member with a follow-up question? The Honourable Devaskarni.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to know, when assessing the performance of a particular minister or a department, has the Minister's Department embarked on a process to evaluate whether and to what extent the government departments are implementing the National Development Plan?
Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. What happens is all government departments are required to develop annual performance plans or strategic plans which are based on the implementation of the National Development Plan. This government has adopted a 5-year plan, which is the medium-term strategy framework, which all the programs of government, all the plans of government should be based on that. So the assessment of whether government departments or ministers are performing is actually based on those plans, which are the implementation of the National Development Plan. And similarly, the contracts between the President and the ministers are based on how the ministers and deputy ministers in their responsibility will be taking forward the National Development Plan, which is now categorized in 14 outcomes. So I hope that responds to the question.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honourable members. Honourable Matthews.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Minister, what has been maybe you could just tell us at least one of the consequences of ill-performing ministers or departments in the past? Because this is not the first time we've had performance agreements. So as I said, we always talk about what we're going to do. So let's talk about what we have done. Thank you.
Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. The President has been in office with this executive for the last 6 months, and he's yet to sign performance agreements with ministers and deputy ministers. And it is his discretion over time making an assessment of whether ministers and or deputy ministers are performing to determine what the consequences are for non-performance. So I must say that in the last 6 months as deputy minister in the presidency, and certainly also the minister may not be in a position to be able to, make a determination on what the consequences are and all of that. In any way, it is the discretion of the president to appoint or remove ministers and or deputy ministers. Thank you.
Honorable von Lingen, Honorable Mokoena, you will miss this time. This is the last supplementary.
Honorable Chairperson, you know, the Honorable President was President in the 4th term. This whole system existed of performance agreements in the 4th term. So basically, if the Deputy President, the Deputy Minister, could answer us, when you step into a position, you pick up what happened in the past so that you can carry on with it. So he must know what punitive measures were in place and will be in place now for these agreements, because you can't sign a performance agreement and there are no punitive measures in the agreement.
The Honorable von Lingen, the Deputy Minister has repeated that it is the prerogative of him who appoints to discipline and to dismiss or to bring whatever. And I think we honorable members, we must leave it at that. He will speculate because we are now saying he must act, he must respond like the president. We can ask whether the question which the Honorable Mateis asked was permissible because it said, give us examples of the misperformance and so on and so forth. And that is why I allowed it to happen. But you are asking the Deputy Minister to become the President, which I think will be out of order because you are saying what are the punitives and why has he not acted, which in all fairness, this Deputy Minister cannot respond to. Honorable members, I am proceeding. Order. I am proceeding, honorable members, to question 118 now, Honorable Julius. It is the question posed by the Honorable Masango to the Minister of Public Service and Administration, the Honorable Chabani. The Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Department of Public Service and Administration received approximately 400 cases through the presidential hotline from the presidency. Comprehensive analysis on all the cases are still being done, but indications are that some of the cases will be referred to the affected relevant departments to be resolved, because that is how our procedures work, that departments deals with their own management issues. Some cases prove to have no basis, and the Department of Public Service and Administration will take these cases further with relevant complainants to explain as why we think there's no basis for such cases. Thirdly, some of the cases will be referred to the next phase for further investigation and, where appropriate, to the level of discipline through the structures which have been established in the various departments to deal with those issues. The Department of Public Service and Administration has not established a body that deals with cases of corruption and unethical conduct in the public service. However, the Public Administration Management Bill, which is still used to be signed by the President, provides for the establishment of an Ethics, Integrity and Discipline Management Technical Assistance Unit, which will be effective when the bill has been promulgated. Cabinet has approved the establishment of a pool of experts in human resource management to support departments in addressing the backlog of outstanding cases where employees were placed on a precautionary suspension pending an investigation. Depending on our experience on this, departments probably may decide to utilize that framework as an instrument to deal with some of the cases going forward, beyond what is provided for in the law. There is no legal framework which empowers the Department of Public Service and Administration to establish a blacklist of people who are not supposed to be employed in the public service as we stand now. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Masango, do you have a supplementary? Thank you very much. Any other honorable member, supplementary? None? Oh, please proceed, honorable member.
Chair, I just would like to know, does the Minister agree that corruption is a Western concept, or is it a serious crime where perpetrators should have their day in court?
Honorable member, I'm trying very hard to keep a straight face. Honorable Minister, do you wish to respond to this question?
It is not related to the
It is not related. That's why I'm trying to keep a straight face. Honorable members, there is no other supplementary flowing out. The Honorable Julius, Honorable van Lingen.
Thank you, Chairperson. Minister, do whistleblowers who report corruption in government have sufficient protection from victimization at this moment? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Yes, Parliament or the National Assembly or whatever the structure did passed laws and instruments to manage the issues of whistleblowers. And we think that those laws are adequate for now. But however, with other stakeholders who are involved in dealing with this issue, we are looking as to how we can strengthen within the operational side the issue of protecting whistleblowers, not only physically, but in terms of so that we can encourage more people to come forward. So yes, there are instruments which are there, which are strong, but practically we need to find practical ways in which we make them easy to implement and safeguard the whistleblowers in the public service.
Honorable van Lingen, you are covered. Thank you very much. Those were the only supplementaries. Honorable Minister, we move on to the next question. It is question 119, posed by the Honorable Julius.
Yes, there are plans in place to retain adequately skilled and experienced heads of departments. These plans include the establishment of an administrative head of the public service, which has been proposed in the National Development Plan. At this stage, the Department of Public Service and Administration is working with the Presidency to formulate the base model, which is in line with the international best practice for the administrative head of the public service. The House should also note that since 2010, the Cabinet had approved to increase the tenure of heads of departments from 3 years to 5 years renewable, to ensure that at least we strengthen the position of heads of departments in the various institutions. It is envisaged that the administrative head of the public service will assist in harmonizing the practices and procedures on how heads of departments are managed in order to ensure effective management of the political and administrative interface. This will subsequently reduce turnover and improve utilization and retention of adequately skilled and experienced heads of department, which will improve the service delivery through the retention of institutional memory and ensuring the continuity amongst other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Julius, do you have a follow-up?
Yes. My apologies. Thank you, Chairperson. A follow-up question would be the skills drain of experienced heads of departments. Does it directly impact on service delivery, and what's the effect of it? Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Minister.
Both the National Development Plan and our own assessments that the the turnover of the heads of departments have got a direct bearing on the service delivery or the ability of institutions to perform adequately. And that is why steps have been taken and proposals have been made both in the National Development Plan and also in the procedures of appointments of heads of departments in the current system, that we try to retain as much as we can the administrative heads in the various institutions which we have. So I can confirm that in our assessment, we think it does have an impact on the ability of institutions to deliver services.
Thank you, Minister. Any other? None. The Honorable Mampur.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Minister. What is the department doing with regard to skilled, qualified, but underperforming heads of department? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
The performance of, of heads of departments is managed through the performance agreements which are reached between the heads of departments and the various executing authorities or ministers in the various departments. Those are the instruments which are used to assess whether a head of department is performing or not. And in our assessment, the performance is not necessarily related only to the skills which somebody has, but also the ability for somebody to do the work diligently in the manner which is required by law. So those are the instruments which are being used for doing that. And therefore, when heads of departments' contracts are renewed or not renewed, one of the issues which is being assessed is the assessment as contained in the assessment reports. Thank you.
Thank you. There is no other supplementary. Members, we proceed, Honourable Minister, to question number 132, as put by the Honourable Kaula.
The government has no plan to incorporate municipal officials under the public service as national and provincial government administrations. Section 151(3) of the Constitution provides that a municipality has the right to govern on its own initiative the local government affairs of its community, to structure and manage its administration, subject to national and provincial legislations as provided for in the Constitution. Government's plan, as provided for in the Public Administration Bill, is to establish a system of public administration that is governed by the basic values and principles of public administration enshrined in Section 195(1) of the Constitution, and secondly, that effectively manages corruption by prohibiting public servants from doing business with the state, ensuring that all public servants declare their financial interests regardless of their position, and maintains an ethical, disciplined workforce with high levels of integrity. 3, that is highly skilled, professional, and live by the basic values and principles of public administration as enshrined in our Constitution. And fourthly, that collaborates in the development of common norms and standards which define our value proposition to our citizens and ensure compliance to these norms and standards by all public servants in all spheres of government. Fifthly, that facilitates transfers and secondments amongst the 3 spheres of government to address the skills deficit. Thank you.
The Honourable Kaula.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Thanks, Honourable Minister. We have just heard the Deputy Minister of COGTA talking to us about a 1984 Act which regulates the salaries of the city managers and municipal managers. And from 1994 up to now, the government does not have a good story to tell when it comes to regulating the salaries of the municipal managers. It is something that is still to be done. Now, Honourable Minister, there are inconsistencies. The salaries of these city managers and municipal managers are so high that you are afraid of even mentioning them. Now, a public service that is controlled nationally will reduce these inconsistencies between local, provincial, and national. I think it will be a good thing to look into. And secondly, the gap at municipal level between the high echelons of administration and the lower echelons is too wide. Something has to be done so that we close that gap so that you don't have very high earners and very low earners. It's much better with province and national because Public Service Commission is looking into all those things holistically. What I'm saying is there is no holistic way of controlling that these things, these inconsistencies are not taking place in our administration. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. This House is one of the institutions which is better placed to deal with issues of that nature. As you know, that this House is a combination of national, provincial, and local. It's the only institution which has got all the spheres of government in one place. And therefore, if there's a debate which needs to arise, I think the House is well placed to debate with SALGA. This House represents provinces. Provinces can express themselves in that. But in 1996, when we adopted the Constitution, we made a decision to separate provincial and national as public service and allow the municipalities in their own entity, not combined. Municipalities are looked at themselves, each and every one on its own category, not as a group. And that is what our Constitution says. So if you are proposing that we amend the Constitution, you are free to propose the amendment to deal with some of the issues. Otherwise, without the constitutional framework, there's no way in which you can deal with this issue except in the manner in which it's regulated now. So the regulations are proper, in line with the Constitution as it is, which makes that determination, which is not a one-size-fits-all on everything which the municipalities are doing. And therefore, I would propose that if there's a concern from your side, you are better placed representing your province and discussing with SALGA to initiate that process. Obviously, from national level, we might be happy because it might resolve some of our problems. Thank you very much.
The Honourable, thank you, Minister. The Honourable Mukweli.
Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister. Minister. Oh, sorry. I'm not sure. On issue of officials, I don't know whether it's a new question or what, but please answer, can you maybe give me a clarity or try to answer this question? There are officials within the municipalities that has been absorbed from Department of Local Government. And those officials are still carrying the status of the department as public servants, as employees of the Department of Local Government. And it is very difficult for those officials to be absorbed into an organogram of municipalities. And those officials, they are battling in terms of their contributions to pensions. So I know it might sound as a new question, but if you have a clarity or any sense of addressing this, because those people are very struggling. They don't actually know where they belong. When they go to the Department of Local Government, the department will say, no, but you are absorbed by the municipality. When they go to municipality, the municipality will say, no, you belong to the department. Thank you.
Minister? It's a bit of a hybrid.
Yes, Chairperson, it's a completely new question. But nevertheless, the member has pleaded with me that I must try to address it. So if I have the opportunity to address it, let me do so, Chairperson.
Yes, please.
As I said before, that the spheres of government between province and national, they are different. In terms of the law, when you define public servants, you don't include local sphere of government. But in our general language, in the terms of services which you provide, you include everybody. That is national, provincial, and local. They are governed by different systems. So when departments transfer officials to municipalities or second officials to municipalities, it needs to be governed by certain rules. But now that we have raised an issue that the officials which are battling, we are going to check with with our sister department to check if they've got that problem, and we try to resolve it. It's a problem which can be resolved, but we are not aware of it. I was not aware of it for now, but I think it's something which we can attend to help. Thank you.
It also depends, Minister, what absorb means. Are they now members employed by the municipalities permanently? And if that is the case, it seems to me that what applies to members working for municipalities must apply to them. But that is a matter that you are saying you will look into. The Honorable von Lingen.
Listen. The Minister has just spoken about the fact that officials can be transferred from the one level or sphere of government to the next one, or vice versa. What really concerns me is when an official is still in a disciplinary process with a specific municipality and he gets appointed in another municipality while he's sort of suspended here but not found guilty. The process is still going on. And he just gets redeployed, and then I don't understand how we're going to clean up the system altogether. Can the Minister give some clarity on this, please?
Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chair, I didn't say that we can transfer officials in the three spheres. You can transfer officials between provincial and national and across horizontally. You can't transfer officials between the national, the provincial, and the municipality at the two upper spheres of government and local municipalities. However, I said the PEM bill, which was passed, which is awaiting the signature of the President, if assented by the President, it will give a framework through which we can be able to transfer officials from local sphere to national sphere or provincial sphere or vice versa in order to increase the skills pools which we have. In terms of the question which has been raised relating to officials who get into a disciplinary process in a particular place and then start applying for a job in a particular place, obviously, as you know, that our regulations, if somebody gets charged in a particular or gets suspended or charged in a particular place and resigns, that person is no longer the employee of that institution. And once that person is no longer an employee of that institution, it becomes very difficult to say you can't prevent that person from being employed by another sphere or another department without violating that person's right because that person has not been found guilty. Now, in terms of what we are trying to do now by maintaining a database of people who have been charged or suspended or whatever else in the various spheres of government, is an attempt to make sure that there's a common pool where people can ask, is this person being suspended or suspended? Does he have any case related to him or her, wherever that person could be employed if you're employed in the public service? That will help to try and address some of the issues which are being raised. But for now, as the law stands, once a person is charged and the person resigns, it's no longer your employer, your employee, and the person, if that person doesn't disclose where that person is being employed, it becomes difficult to track it because there's no record of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Any other follow-up? The last? None? Honourable Minister, we are moving on to question number 139. It's posed by the Honourable Wana.
Yes, the Department of Public Service and Administration maintains a database of all Directors General and heads of departments within the public service. 14 heads of departments are on an acting capacity, and one head of a government component is currently acting as a head of department and government component. The periods of acting heads of departments are as follows. Mpumalanga in Cooperative Governance and Transnational Affairs is 4 months. Economic Development, Tourism and Environment and Environmental Affairs, 5 months. In the Eastern Cape, in Education is 3 months. In KwaZulu-Natal, Social Development is 3 months. Agriculture and Rural Development, Community Safety and Liaison, 10 months each, respectively. In Gauteng, Economic Development is 9 months. In Health is 1 month. In Limpopo, Public Works is 6 months. Cooperative governance, human settlements, and traditional affairs, 2 weeks. In education, 1 year, 2 months. In Northwest, social development, women, children, and persons with disability is 3 months. Culture, arts, and traditional affairs is 3 months. In health is 2 months. On the government components is the Government Pensions Administration Agency, which is 1 year, 7 months. The Public Service Commission is responsible to facilitate evaluation of Directors General and heads of departments. According to the Public Service Commission, 48.9% of Directors General and heads of departments submitted their performance agreements to the Public Service Commission by the end of September 2014. There is no pending court case against government by Directors General regarding contractual disputes, which the Department of Public Service and Administration is aware of. Answer B, 9 Directors Generals are currently acting as head of departments. The periods of appointment as acting Director General as follows: Limpopo is 11 months, Northwest 2 months, Basic Education 4 months, Communications 3 months, Correctional Services 4 months, Energy 6 months, Labor 11 months, Transport 12 months, Water and Sanitation 13 months, Small Business, Department of Small Business 3 months. Senior management posts in all departments have not been filled. There are many challenges confronted by government departments in relation to the filling of senior management posts. These challenges include lack of required skill and lack of talented and experienced individuals to fill senior management posts, and the long process it takes to fill those posts and get the relevant people. Furthermore, challenges of filling senior management posts differ from departments to departments. Therefore, each department is in a better position to indicate its challenges in relation to filling their senior management positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Is there any follow-up question? The Honorable Josisi Tlamurapo.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thanks, Minister, for the details. I'm not Honorable Chairperson. I'm just standing on her behalf. I'm certain you are aware of that. Chabisekile Kesile for the response in details, and I've got no follow-ups. Thank you very much.
Kesile. Honorable Nyambe.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. As people representing the interest of provinces, Honorable Minister, I think the one of Mpumalanga has to be taken out of the list. We happen to have attended a provincial week last week, that other week, and when we were there, I remember very well because the HOD was appointed the previous day and was called to come and explain to us because we were visiting a particular serious project where there was a challenge of service delivery. So that's an outdated information.
Minister, you are so corrected by the Honorable Member from Mpumalanga, the Honorable Dabaskachni.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, these questions were related to deputy directors and heads of departments, but on the same level, I would like to know, is the Minister aware of this problem and the prescripts of Section 54A2A of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act, which states that acting municipal managers may not be appointed to act for a period that exceeds 3 months? What is the Minister doing to ensure that the prescripts of the Act are complied with?
Honorable Minister, it is within your own discretion. This is a new question on local government.
It's not only a new question, Chairperson, it's irrelevant to me. Because as I said, local government is a different sphere of government. We administer the Public Service and Administration Act, so those areas fall outside our scope of work. Thank you.
Councillor Mhlonishwa, we proceed. We are on to question 145, posed by the Honorable Mukwena. Honorable Minister.
The Department of Public Service and Administration has developed the Public Service Human Resource Development Strategy Framework, which has been implemented since 2008 as a strategic intervention in order to respond to the need for the development of human resources as well as honing of skills to improve performance in the public service. The Public Service Human Resource Development Strategy Framework 2015 has been a blueprint for action over an 8-year period, that is from 2008 to 2015 period. The strategy is being implemented by all departments at national and provincial levels. A full review is currently underway on the Public Service Human Resource Development Strategy Framework as the strategy is nearing its expiry date in 2015. The outcome of this review will inform the development of a revised Public Service Human Resource Development Strategy Framework, which should respond, amongst others, to calls made in the National Development Plan on the public service, to challenges of ensuring that internal problems are solved in a cost-effective manner, to that the court judgments and recommendations by Parliament also are implemented sufficiently. The Department of Public Service and Administration will embark on a wide and intense consultation during the drafting of the revised Human Resource Development Strategy Framework. It envisages that this revised Human Resource Development Strategic Framework will be finalized in December 2015 for implementation in the next, from 2016 onwards. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Mkwena.
Thank you, Chair. I think because the question was rephrased, it may have confused the Honourable Minister. But the question really pertains to the tendering system, which is largely procured to the private sector. A private sector whose sole mandate is profit-making. And therefore, what the question is saying is it not time that we take that capacity and put it in the hands of the public service itself, so that the public service itself is able to deliver to the people, as is practiced very successfully in places like China and South Korea. Thanks.
Honourable Minister.
Obviously, the management practice, human resource management is now currently a science. So anybody who goes to school to learn human resource management, whether you are going to work in the private sector, you do the same thing. The only difference is when you deal with the public sector, public administration, where the issues will differ. So the principles of implementation are the same. What we are trying to do is to ensure that we improve the systems in government, because whilst the private sector itself in most cases deliver actual objective goods, commodities, which can be counted, but public service will deliver services which are not necessarily quantifiable in terms of objectively. But these are services which are supposed to be received by the public. And we therefore could, if we employ the same principles as you are suggesting, it could help to improve the way in which the public service is working. And we're working very closely with the people in the private sector. We have got an innovation center which is looking at all the principles and all the new ways in which services can be delivered efficiently and in the public sector, so that we can be comparable also with the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other follow-up? None. The honourable members, we then move on to question 151, posed by the Honourable Kumbi to the Minister, Public Service and Administration. Minister.
On the 5th of June 2014, the Department of Public Service and Administration met with Government Employees Pension Fund to brief the DPSA officials on the proposed retirement pension reforms. Also present at this meeting were officials from the National Treasury and Government Pensions Administration Agency. The Department of Public Service and Administration voiced its concern about the procedure to be followed and stressed that any changes to the benefits that have an impact on the existing terms and conditions of employment need to be discussed and negotiated collectively between the employer and the unions as stipulated in Section 3C of the Public Service Act. Amendments to the Income Tax Act, impact on retirement funds were, however, not discussed. As you know, how the money bills are dealt with. Unfortunately, in this inspect, the money bill deals with matters which affect the benefits of employees. Again, in the beginning of September 2014, officials from DPSA and National Treasury convened the meeting to discuss a communication strategy to dispel the rumors that government wants to nationalize public service pensions. It was decided that both the Government Pension Administration Agency and the National Treasury will conduct workshops for national and provincial departments. Subsequent to that, a circular jointly signed by the Directors General from the Treasury and DPSA was posted on the DPSA website about the impending workshops which will be taking place and to be rolled out to discuss with employees countrywide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Klimbi, do you have any follow-up?
Ndiyabulela sihlalo. Uyibeke yacaca umphathiswa icace okwe kade emhlophe ehlungwini andinambuzo. Thanks.
Thank you, Dad. The Honorable von Lingen.
Honorable Chairperson, the Minister now referred to various workshops, but there's definitely a fear out in the public that they've contributed to a pension fund and they're now going to lose their portion of the cash that they can get out. And how can the Minister, other than workshops, because you can't get hold of everybody in a workshop, how is the Minister going to arrest the fears of the people who have been working for years and years in the department, that they will understand they won't lose their money and that they will get the full benefits of their investments?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. As you know, that the Department of Public Service and Administration is not responsible for pensions. It is the Department of its National Treasury and the Department of Finance who also are in charge of the Government Employees Pension Fund. However, in our discussions with the departments and also the unions, it was clear that there were people who were taking advantage of the confusion or the lack of information which was there in the public sector about how the new reforms are going to impact on individual employees. And that matter is being dealt with also by the unions and also by the National Treasury and also by the Pension Fund. Wherever we can, also ourselves at the Department of Public Service and Administration, we assist. We agree with you the concern you are raising and the confusion which is there on the ground because people have been resigning on false understanding of what is it that is being proposed in terms of that. In fact, as we understand it, it has got very little to do with the government pension fund itself. It has got to do with the provident funds which are administered different. So the reforms are putting an alignment into that area so that people can get their full benefits. And the Department of Finance and also the pension fund have been going around to talk to employees and actually sending them circulars themselves to explain the position. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Minister, that was the last of your questions. We have, however, been informed that you will act as the Minister of Women today, and therefore we will proceed. Are we correct, Minister? We will proceed for the Minister to respond on behalf of the Minister for Women to question number 128. It is a question posed by the Honourable Mikilakis.
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of the government planning timeframes, the department is required to submit its first draft strategic plan to the department, to the National Treasury, and the presidency, that the Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation for assessment at the end of August, that is the past August. This has been fully complied with. We are awaiting inputs from the National Treasury and the presidency so that we can submit our second draft strategy plan in November and the final one in February 2015. And that is the response from the Minister of Women. So when I say I, so you must take it that way. When I say we, so that there's no confusion.
The Honorable Mikelekes, you must understand the I and the we in this regard.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, from the Minister's response, I gather that the final report will only be available in November, if I understood him correct. The first draft is August, final one he said in November. Based on that response, Honourable Minister, the Department of Women, Children and People with Disabilities, the predecessor of this department, had programs for women with specific targets. Did your predecessor leave her department in such shambles that 7 months after your appointment, it has been impossible for you to finalize a strategic plan from this program and start delivering outcomes that will improve the lives of women in this country?
The Honourable Minister acting.
Yes, Honourable Chairperson, it is my understanding that if a minister is acting for another one, you are not obliged to answer supplementary questions. But nevertheless, wherever I have information, I would type as much as I can to share with you. The Department of Women, as we talk about it today, is not the same as it was some 6 months ago. And therefore, it was women, children, and people with disability. The other components have been taken to social development. So the strategic plan or the plans which were in place at that time would not be applicable now unless if they have changed in terms of the new program of drafting a new strategic plan, which we said it will be available, its final draft for implementation in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other supplementary? None. We proceed, Honourable Minister, to the question number 134 by Dr. Mateme.
The custodian of preparing a report on the progress made on the 8 goals of the MDGs in the country rests with Statistics South Africa, which coordinates this undertaking. In doing so, it works with the key relevant departments and representatives of civil society per goal. As such, no single line department takes responsibility for assessment of the related goal outside this process. Hence, the Department of Women works in collaboration with the States SA and other stakeholders in assessing progress made on Goal 3. With respect to the assessment in the light of the 2015 deadline, the department is currently collaborating with States SA on preparing the report on progress made on Goal 3, which is due in September 2015 at the United Nations. An assessment report on progress made on the MDGs was published in October 2013 and is available on States SA's website. Overall, the report indicates that there is progress towards meeting the indicators and targets identified for Goal 3. Gender parity in primary education has been achieved, and representation of women at the political level is advancing towards gender parity. The challenge identified is with reaching the representation of women in management positions in the non-agricultural employment, particularly within the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any follow-up question? The Honourable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister, for the response. Just a follow, I will not mind if you don't respond as you just indicated, but if we could get a written response, just to check if there are any plans to enforce the implementation of gender equality across the board, not only in government, because most of the time when we talk about gender equality, we always think of government. That includes private sector, to ensure that it is implemented. Are there any plans to enforce? Because at times, Honourable Minister, you find that when women are removed, are replaced by men.
The Honourable Minister.
The House would recall that in the last, before the elections, there was a bill which was piloted through Parliament, which aims at enforcing some of the applications and the achievements which are supposed to be reached in terms of gender parity in the various sectors. And that process has not been concluded, and I think there is an intention on the part of the department to try and find mechanisms beyond what we have now to enforce gender parity and gender equality in the all spheres of government, including in the private sector. But that's an issue which needs to be dealt with and be concluded as we proceed forward. So there is an intention in the part of the department to do that.
Thank you, Minister. We proceed. The last question is the question number 147, posed by the Honorable Mukwele.
Since 1994, the ANC-led government has made significant progress in creating a conducive, comprehensive, and multidimensional legislative and policy framework for advancing human rights, equality, and empowerment of women, social transformation, and other gender equality. And gender equality have been on the agenda of the democratic government since 1994. The fifth administration has prioritized the socio-economic empowerment of women to ensure a transformed society by locating the Department of Women in the presidency. There have been remarkable changes in the social attitudes towards women in the past 2 decades. However, these changes in attitudes have not yet resulted in the elimination of many of the challenges women face within society, especially violence against women. What has increased is the extent to which women's inequalities and abuse are identified. Therefore, this year's 16 Days of Activism campaign for no violence against women and children will take a comprehensive approach before, during, and after the campaign to ensure continuity of effort in addressing issues of violence against women and children. As part of the approach, we have started engaging various stakeholders, including religious, traditional, and cultural leaders, to work with the department towards a collective approach to ensure that we work together as we move towards a safer South Africa for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Mukwele.
Go na le puo ya Setswana e reng mangwana o tshwara thipa ka fa bogaleng, and ntate ke tlhogo ya lapa. Responsibility ya ntate ga ile tlhogo ya lapa ke gore o tshwantse a tlhokomele mme le bana mo lapeng. Jaanong Honorable Minister, Acting Minister, ke batla go itse gore department ya gago e dirang ka bomme ba ko marikana ba ditshwanelo tsa bone tsa botho di tserweng go tlhoka borre mo malapeng a bone, gore department e etsang go thusa bomme bao, ka gore from where I am, those women are oppressed. They don't have the dignity because their husband has been massacred in Marikana. So what is it that the government is doing to assist those women? Thank you.
The Honorable Mukwele is asking a question which is completely different from dealing with custodians of tradition, faith leaders, and cultural practitioners. The question she has just posed has actually to do with what the government strategy is to deal with widows and orphans. Minister, I don't know if you have the appetite to deal with it.
I have the appetite to answer it.
Avail yourself.
Government has various programs which deals with members of society who are affected either by death of their breadwinners. There are comprehensive programs, which most of them are in the Department of Social Development, which deals with those issues. In respect of that specific case of Marikana, I would recall that as part of assisting the families, the Department of Social Development, the Department of Human Settlement, and various other stakeholders and departments have been working with those families since the tragedy happened to try and assist those families. So there are programs in place which are aimed at assisting the people who are affected by such tragedies from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'll have a small preamble to my question, Honorable Chairperson. Whilst long ago, women were not allowed to own property because only their husbands could do that. But in most rural areas that I know of in the country, but especially KwaZulu-Natal, under the leadership of Prince M.G. Butelis in the erstwhile KwaZulu government, women were given that right to own property. And whilst long ago, women could not become amakhosi, even before 1994, that had been rectified to say, if you do qualify, even if you are a woman, you can become an inkosi. I remember that in KwaZulu-Natal, we had a lot of acting women amakhosi before 1994. The issues of inheritance, whilst long ago, women could not inherit after their husbands had passed away. But that was attended to. Now, my question, Honorable Minister, is what is your department doing to correct this misconception out there that amakhosi are oppressing women? Because it is something that is just not there. We have got Inkosi in here. He can tell you that he's not an oppressive Inkosi. I know a lot of amakhosi. I come from Ubukosi myself. I know that amakhosi are not oppressive. But there is this misconception that in rural areas where I come from, women are being oppressed, which is not there. What is, on the other hand, the department doing to also inform South Africa accordingly that amakhosi are not just animals who just sit on people and are oppressing them? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Historically, women in our country suffered what we called triple oppression. The first one, as workers, as you'd know, that they were not allowed to earn the same salary as their counterparts, even if they do the same job. We can list a number of areas in that regard. The second one, as nationalities, because black women, they were not taken the same as white women. Thirdly, as women, because their oppression was actually gender-based. Now, it cannot be correct that at any stage, even now, we have not yet reached a point where women are liberated to the extent that we want. And to that extent, the oppression of women comes in various forms. And in some instances, because of the manner in which we grew up, the traditions, the religions, the customs, and there are a lot of elements which in totality constitute what we call women's oppression. It is this struggle, the last lap of this struggle, which needs to be dealt with. So it affects women living in rural areas, women in religious communities. There are quite of elements of it. But that's in this society. It's not a struggle which needs to be fought by force. It's a struggle which all of us needs to work together to look at those elements in our society. You will find them in any community. Any part of our society you will find it. One thing or the other which affects women negatively and which things needs to be dealt with. It is that concern which the department will have to deal with members of the committee. I think you'd remember the debate about Ugutwala. Ugutwala. And other people will say, no, Ugutwala is not that, that's what it's supposed to be, and so on. But the fact of the matter is, it's an issue which has been of a major concern. So when people talk about traditional institutions and religious institutions and how women's matters are being dealt with, it is issues like those which we need to form common ground, ourselves as South Africans, both male and female, urban and rural, religious and traditional and everything else, to work together to try and ensure that we overcome these barriers and battles to ensure that our women also enjoy the same rights as all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Matthys.
speak today. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Chair. The department, I'm glad to see that the Department of Women has just become the Department of Women to focus on women issues primarily. And I think we need to look beyond the advancement that we've made in terms of employment equity as far as women are concerned. With the advancement that we've had with women, equally we've had the hectically rise of abuse and violence against women. And I hardly think 60 days of activism is going to solve that problem. And what are we doing? I mean, we have our Gokos getting raped. I mean, that is like such a serious issue. And we sit here and we're talking about boardrooms and making sure that women are equally appointed into positions. But with that, the violence is out of control. What are we doing? It's horrible. I mean, our grandmothers are getting raped. This is the country that we're living in. What is the Department of Women doing? And you can't tell us about 60 days of activism, really. Thank you, Minister.
Honourable Minister.
Unfortunately, the issue which is being raised is painful to all of us. And no South Africans can stand shoulder high and be proud of some of the things which are happening. The reality which we need to face ourselves is that it's a societal matter. It's not a matter for the Department of Women or for women alone. It's a struggle which all of us as South Africans need to fight, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of race, regardless of political affiliation. It's an issue which should never be used as a political football because it's a critical issue for the survival of the soul of our nation. Crimes of that nature, as you would know, these are social crimes which happen in areas where, in most cases or in some cases, if the states have to come back, rapes and abuse against women happen amongst people who know each other and amongst children. They happens in households. They happens in communities which know each other. It's very difficult to police. You can only act after. The police can only come at the later stage when things have already happened. But the prevention part is something which as society, all of us needs to campaign, go out and campaign. I agree with you that 16 days is not enough. It's a struggle which we have to fight day in and day out until our society comes to normality. The 16 days of activism is a point of highlight. It's a point where we say, let's highlight these issues. Let's highlight the campaign. Let's highlight the issues which are affecting women and children. And we are not taking it, and that's why even the answer says before, during, and beyond the 16 days of activism. So, beyond the 16 days of activism, let's continue with the campaign. Let's draw all society, young, old, women, men, all institutions for us to work towards the realization of that goal so that we prevent these things from happening. Because the police can only come as an after effect once the crimes themselves have happened. But the responsibility to prevent those, it lies on the shoulders of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, there is no other follow-up. We have exhausted the questions for today. I want to just remind members that pages 33 through to 34 carries the questions which have been converted for written response in terms of Rule 246(4). That then brings me to the point where I have to thank you, Minister, and the Deputy Ministers who came in for availing yourselves to do the House the honor to hear the responses posed to the questions to yourselves. Members, this concludes the business of the day. You are requested to remain standing whilst the procession leaves the House and this House is adjourned.